Welcome to Vendor Performance Management Training Module 1. Introduction to the Vendor Performance Management Program, also referred to as the VPM program. This training module will cover the following aspects of the VPM program: Introduction to the Vendor Performance Management Program, Program Key Objectives and the Core Components, the VPM program document, program application, and lastly, how VPM fits into the contract lifecycle. Before we dive into more information about the VPM program, let's talk briefly about the infrastructure team that manages the program. The Vendor Performance Management Program is administered by the Contract Monitoring and Evaluation Team, commonly referred to as the VPM team of Alberta Infrastructure. The members of the VPM team are called the Contract Evaluation Advisors or CEAs. The CEAs work most closely with the vendors and the infrastructure project managers. Now, let's talk more about the VPM program. VPM is a contract management best practice used to track, analyze, and manage the performance of a vendor. Project managers from Alberta Infrastructure evaluate the performance of vendors throughout the course of their contract with infrastructure. The CEAs from the VPM team support the project managers as they complete their vendor evaluations over the course of the entire contract and through individual evaluation cycles. These performance evaluation scores are then used in consideration for future procurements. This will be covered in more depth in Training Module 4. The key objectives of vendor performance management are to support good performance by vendors while improving transparency, promoting innovation, and ensuring best value for Albertans. Past vendor performance is then considered during procurement for new goods, services, or construction. There are three main components of the VPM program. We will briefly summarize each component in this module and explore them in much greater detail in later modules. The first core component are the performance evaluations, where a vendor's performance is evaluated by the Alberta Infrastructure Project Manager with support from the VPM team. Once a performance evaluation is complete, vendors receive an evaluation result scored between 1 to 5, with 3 indicating that they have met the expectations outlined in the contract and above 3 indicating they have exceeded expectations. Conversely, an evaluation result below 3 represents improvement required in the vendor's performance. The evaluation result contributes to the vendor's 3-year rolling average called an Overall Vendor Performance Rating, or OVPR for short. Performance evaluations are covered in more detail in Modules 2 and 3. The second core component of VPM is past performance and procurement, where the vendor's OVPR is used in the selection process during procurement evaluation. The OVPR value equates to a VPM adjustment applied to the final score or bid price depending on the procurement. If a vendor is new to contracting with infrastructure or has not received an evaluation result in the past 3 years, they will be assigned a default OVPR of 3. OVPR and procurement are covered with more detail in Module 4. The third core component is the review process and corrective measures. To promote fairness and transparency, infrastructure allows vendors to submit a formal request to have a recently received performance evaluation be reviewed by senior leadership at Alberta Infrastructure. This ensures that they were fairly and accurately evaluated on their contractual performance. The process on review requests is covered in Module 5. When a vendor's performance is evaluated and considered inadequate, the corrective measures process is triggered and requires vendors to complete a corrective action plan. If the vendor continues to underperform on the same contract, they are at risk of receiving a suspension from bidding on Alberta infrastructure contracts. The corrective measures process is covered more in Module 6. The Vendor Performance Management Program is administered as per the terms set out in the VPM program document, which guides the operational aspects of the program, including responsibilities, functions, processes, timelines, and definitions. In fact, as the VPM program document is cited within VPM included contracts, it is an inherent part of the agreement, and thus both vendors and Alberta Infrastructure are required to fulfill their contractual duties as it relates to the VPM program. The VPM program document is available in PDF form on alberta.ca by searching for Vendor Performance Management. What are some of the benefits of the VPM program? It facilitates ongoing, regular communication about performance with vendors. While project managers are already engaging with vendors on a consistent basis regarding contractual work being performed, performance evaluations provide an opportunity for the project managers to communicate to the vendor on all aspects of their contractual performance on a scheduled basis. This ensures vendors are aware of their performance and provides a great opportunity to know where they are doing great, where they are meeting expectations, and where they may be able to improve. Vendors can also share more information with the project managers about what they are doing to meet or exceed contract expectations. The program provides incentives for vendors to perform well on their contract, as good evaluation scores help to increase their OVPR, which is used when bidding on future procurement opportunities. Conversely, it ensures a higher degree of accountability for vendors who are underperforming by lowering their OVPR and giving infrastructure the authority to suspend vendors who are severely underperforming. Additional benefits include vendor past performance is taken into consideration during procurement evaluations. VPM plays an important role in setting clear expectations for vendors by establishing measurable criteria and five key indices: safety, quality, cost, schedule, and management. For even further transparency of these expectations, infrastructure includes VPM documents such as evaluation forms in the procurement package and contract, ensuring that the expectations are clearly laid out to vendors. Lastly, as Alberta Infrastructure highly values its vendors and the contractual work they complete, VPM has enabled infrastructure to be able to provide performance based references to vendors who have received at least one finalized performance evaluation. Now that we know a little bit of background about the VPM program, let's look at which Alberta infrastructure contracts are subject to the VPM program. All contracts with a pre-estimated value at or above $100,000 are automatically subject to VPM, barring exceptions for specific types of contracts which fall outside the scope of the program. These include service contracts for building maintenance or management and total property management contracts. P3 contracts are also exempted from VPM program, although certain design, engineering, and consulting service contracts relating to P3 projects may be included at Alberta Infrastructure's discretion. Whether a contract is subject to VPM is determined at the procurement planning stage, so VPM can be included in the active procurement bid package along with being on the contract upon vendor award. Lastly, there is a process that exists to opt in or opt out contracts. Let's go through that in a bit more detail. Opting in is typically done because a contract is below the $100,000 threshold, but there is a high degree of risk associated with the contract. For opting out, it's the inverse. The contract is above the $100,000 threshold, but it's a lower risk and more routine contract. However, if you are a vendor who is awarded a contract that is not within the scope of the VPM program, you can request to opt in to VPM, which is approved at the discretion of Alberta Infrastructure. Opting in is risk based. If there is sufficient rationale for a contract to be included in the VPM program, then this can be discussed with the VPM program for consideration. If you're interested in learning more about the Vendor Performance Management Program, check out our other training modules that delve deeper into the specifics of the program. And if you have any questions, please contact the VPM team by email at any time. Thank you for watching.